how to overcome a failure. If I may be a little bit vulnerable with y'all, obviously when I upload a video to YouTube, I'm always hoping that it's going to go viral, that it's going to get a lot of views. And when it doesn't, it's a failure. It kind of breaks my heart. It's quite a failure, if I may be a little bit vulnerable here. I obviously hoped many times that this video or that video is going to go viral, that I have finally figured out the formula for the YouTube's algorithm, and ultimately when it fails, when it's a failure, I am quite disappointed and quite heartbroken. So how to overcome this? Today's teaching is going to be about how to overcome a failure in your personal life. So hopefully you will learn something useful. Obviously, one thing that I want to note just is that I obviously love to do the videos for you guys, so that kind of helps as well. But let's set a different example. For example, you hate the work that you do, or you hate the stuff that we are talking about that ends up in a failure. Let's set an example. For example, you are preparing for your math test, huge test that you are preparing really hard, and you are hoping that the grade is going to be reflecting that is going to be, for example, A, and instead you end up with C or D or F. You completely fail. It's a complete failure. So even though you may not like mathematics, so how to overcome this feeling of failure from this math test, or for example from the video on YouTube that does not perform well, or for example you may go on a date and you actually hate putting yourself out there. You hate the first dates. You are maybe a little bit more introverted and shy person, and the date ends up in a failure. So how to overcome this failure? It might break your heart that you are finally hoping that you might settle down and that you won't have to go on a first dates anymore. So how to actually overcome this failure? How to overcome if this date fails? So there is a pragmatic part and there is an emotional part. I have prepared for you both parts. And from the pragmatic part, we need to stay realistic and grounded in reality. We need to, I always recommend meditate and do the root chakra meditation that grounds you into reality. And we need to look at the situation realistically. We have to obviously try to improve the stuff that we have influence over, but there are certain things that are out of our influence. For example, if the date went horribly wrong, it could be the possibility that the other person on that date was the reason for the failure. And so it's not always everything is not always our responsibility, and we cannot improve on that. What we might also try is what I usually do with my YouTube channel. If, for example, the YouTube video does not perform as I was hoping it would, if it's a failure, then I usually am obviously heartbroken, but I try to focus on what to improve, that as we talked about, the tiny little things, like for example improving thumbnail or improving title or improving what I'm saying, trying to be more coherent and speak maybe a little bit slowly so that I am easier to understand. Also, what I try to do is that I focus on little steps ahead, but only very few steps ahead, not any huge pictures. So for example, I'm thinking about the next video or about the next 5 videos, but I'm not necessarily trying to see 10 years ahead or any stuff like that. I'm trying to focus on the little things and the little steps. It is the pragmatic part. This is the entire pragmatic part. And then the emotional part, the more important part, the vibrational part, the part of the heartbreak. So as I said, I'm heartbroken because my video does not perform well. So how do I overcome this emotionally? Or maybe I'm heartbroken because my math test completely failed, even though I was preparing for hours. So how do I overcome this? Or maybe I'm heartbroken because the date did not go as planned. It went horribly wrong, it was a failure. So how do I overcome this heartbreak? Well, most importantly, we need to learn how to mourn and how to grieve the opportunity lost. So we need to grieve the loss of hope. I was very hoping that the video was going to go well, and obviously because it became a failure, then this hope died in that moment. And so I need to be able to grieve this hope. I need to be able to grieve this loss of opportunity, because it was an opportunity for me to break out, for me to be viral, and it failed. So I need to mourn this reality. I need to release from my heart chakra. From my heart chakra, I need to energetically release these emotions. I need to sit down and try to release this shame and guilt. For example, I might feel shameful and I might feel guilty that I'm not speaking coherently enough, or that I am not being entertaining enough. There might be many reasons why I might feel shamed and guilty, why my videos are not performing. Or for example, with the MEF test, I might feel like I have misunderstood one of the parts of the MEF test, and so I might feel shame and guilt for being stupid. But we need to release this. We need to release this because these emotions store up. And avoiding these emotions, this is more typical for men, to avoid emotions, but avoiding these emotions will actually store up. It might create resentment. For example, with this dating situation, it might create a resentment towards women if my first date goes as a failure, or if I am a woman, it might create resentment towards men. This is obviously very unhealthy. We might see it in the sometimes the dating videos. A lot of these people, I don't want to name names, but there is a little bit of a resentment because obviously you try to go on dates, you try to put yourself out there, and ultimately it's a failure. It might be failure because of the other person. So you might feel a resentment, but you still need to release these emotions from your heart. Otherwise, this resentment cramps up. So you need to sit down and release this heartbreak, release these emotions of guilt and shame. Try to release the resentment that you might be storing up. Because it might prevent you from ever finding your dream partner if you automatically have a resentment towards the opposite sex, or even the same sex if you are homosexual. So it still might create a resentment if you have a lot of failed dates, and automatically you are presuming that the next one will fail. So ideally you need to release these emotions. You need to release this shame and guilt. I'm sorry guys, I will interrupt just for a second because I want to introduce you to somebody if you are new here. This is my best bud, my beloved co-host, my homeboy. From right next to me comes Mikey. Mikey, come here. Mikey. Okay. He's such a cutie patootie. You might see him from some of the videos, wandering around in the background. He just came from a hunt. I heard him from a distance. He was hunting a deer. Every time he tries to hunt something, every time he's following some kind of a deer or rabbit, his voice changes to signal that you are supposed to, go on your horse and try to hunt the deer. And so his voice drastically changes. He becomes a much higher pitch, and he's signaling that he is hunting something down. And it's usually because also he's running extremely fast behind the deer, and so he's sort of like yelling and signaling where he is. And so it's quite funny because he's trying to hunt down these animals in the forest. But obviously it makes me a little bit worried because sometimes he has a hard time coming back. So I'm always happy when he comes. So I got a little bit distracted when he came, and I wanted to introduce him. But anyway, as I was saying, To overcome any failure in your life, there are two parts that you need to implement. Most people are very familiar with the practical part. They often are very familiar what to do. They are obviously very driven, but it's extremely important to not forget the emotional part as well, because you might eventually, if you are trying to build a dream, for example, if you are trying to build a dream, as I am trying to give you example in my life personal, if I'm trying to build this beautiful YouTube channel, this beautiful, gorgeous YouTube channel, even though I have already uploaded so many videos and still haven't worked out, I'm still hoping that it's going to work out. And in order to not feel a resentment towards the YouTube algorithm or towards my videos, I need to release this shame and guilt. I need to release this, I have to mourn and grieve the lost opportunity. I need to mourn and grieve the failure that happened. Almost 400 times. I have almost 400 videos on this YouTube channel, so it has happened quite many times. So I am very familiar with failure. But obviously, as you might have also noticed in the very recent videos about the quotes, if we wanna build our dream reality, it's 1,000 miles and it starts with the first step. And it obviously continues with the second step and third step. And often than not, it takes 10 years for overnight success. Or often than not, it's depicted in our culture as the 10,000 hours. And so we need to expect that there is going to be a lot of failure. For example, on my YouTube channel, there's going to be a lot of videos that are going to fail, they are not going to perform well, they are going to not get a lot of views and not go viral. It's because I'm obviously learning with every single video. I'm trying to implement these little things and learn new things. But also I need to, this is very extremely important, most people do not do this. The emotional part is the main point of this video that I want you to truly get in your head, is that you need to, every single time you experience failure, you need to grieve the hope lost, the opportunity lost. You need to release the shame and guilt. For example, if I feel shameful that my videos are not performing, if I feel guilty that I'm not entertaining enough, not funny enough, I need to release that in order to be able to create new videos for you and able to be hopeful and optimistic for the future. If I don't release this, I will create a cramp up resentment towards, for example, I can start blaming the YouTube algorithm, or I can start blaming any other things in the world. But in reality, it obviously is it's very hard to build your desired reality. That's what it comes down to. And it takes many, many steps and many falls and failures that need to be overcome. And that's what I'm trying to teach you in today's video. Also, one last thing for the end is that you might not know this if you are here for the first time, but I don't just make videos, I also write a blog too. It's absolutely amazing, unique, and everything you ever wanted. So make sure you check it out. It's the link is in the bio. Also, check out the video here, check out the video there, and everywhere. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.